Okay, let's dive into cyber insurance. And if you think it's still just some financial safety net you buy, well, you really need to think again. The rules of the game have totally changed. Right now, trying to get insured is probably one of the toughest tests out there for how secure your business actually is. So I've got to ask you, straight up, could your business pass a cyber insurance test? Like right now? Because that's exactly what it is today. This isn't about just, filling out a form and writing a check anymore. Not at all. It's a super rigorous, deep dive examination of every single security control you have. It's a full-on test, and honestly, a lot of companies are flunking. All right, so let's get into the why behind all this. I mean, to really understand this test, we have to figure out why it's gotten so insanely hard. Why are insurers suddenly holding everyone's feet to the fire like this? The answer, well, it's pretty simple and really expensive. We're talking about the insane cost and just the sheer number of cyber attacks happening every day. Insurers are getting absolutely hammered with claims from ransomware, data breaches, you name it. Their whole business model is about managing risk, and right now, that risk is off the charts. So the only way they can stay afloat is to make damn sure their clients are actually secure. And this is a massive shift, right? What used to be a pretty simple transaction is now this intense verification process. Insurers are basically saying, we don't just take your word for it anymore. You have to prove it. You have to show them with evidence that your security is rock solid. And look, this isn't just some insurance industry headache. This is a fundamental business risk, period. I mean, the World Economic Forum ranks cyber risks as one of the top global threats to business. When something gets that serious, you better believe the gatekeepers, and in this case, that's the insurers, are going to start building much, much higher walls. Okay, so what's actually on this test? What are the questions on the exam? Let's break down the insurer's security checklist, the key controls you absolutely, positively have to prove you have. All right, here we go. These are the 6 pillars of cyber readiness. Think of this as your study guide for the big test. You've got multi-factor authentication, endpoint protection, patch management, backups, incident response, and security training. It's the whole package, from locking the doors to training the guards and having a fire drill ready. Let's dig into what they're really looking for in each of these. First on the list, multi-factor authentication, or MFA. And let me be clear, this one is completely non-negotiable. It's table stakes. As Microsoft has pointed out, it's one of the single best things you can do to stop an account from getting compromised. Insurers know this, and they expect it to be everywhere. We're talking remote access, admin accounts, all the critical stuff. Okay, next is endpoint protection. And this is where it gets a little more advanced. We're not just talking about that old school antivirus software you installed a decade ago. Insurers are looking for modern endpoint detection and response, or EDR. These are tools that are basically a digital immune system for your laptops and servers, actively hunting for threats and shutting them down in real time. And the checklist just keeps getting more specific. They're going to want proof that you're constantly scanning for vulnerabilities and that you're patching them fast. They'll dig into your backup strategy, and what they're looking for are immutable backups, the kind that ransomware literally can't mess with. And finally, they're going to ask to see your incident response plan. But here's the kicker. Just having one written down isn't good enough. They want to know if you've actually tested it. Because, let's be real, a plan that's just collecting dust on a shelf is pretty useless when things go sideways. All right, so those are the requirements. Now for the flip side, where are companies actually tripping up? Where are they failing this test? Knowing these common mistakes is super important so you don't fall into the same traps. So why are so many businesses getting denied coverage? Well, the reasons are usually surprisingly basic, and they all point to the same thing. It's not about having MFA on a few accounts, it's about having it locked down everywhere. It's not about patching when you get around to it, it's about having a solid, consistent process. And guess what? That tested incident response plan? Yep, it's back again as a major deal breaker. I know, this can sound like a ton of work just for an insurance policy. But let's change our perspective for a second. The real win here is so much bigger than just getting coverage. Getting to this level of readiness, that's a huge victory for your business, period. Think about it. When you pass this test, you haven't just checked a box for the insurance company. You've made your entire organization stronger, from the ground up. You've seriously lowered the odds of a successful attack. You've made it easier to bounce back if something does happen. And you've built a business that customers and partners can actually trust. That's priceless. And that brings us to a really crucial point. This isn't a one-time project. You can't just pass the test, dust off your hands, and call it a day. The security world is always, always changing. The threats we'll face tomorrow are going to be different from the ones we face today. And you can bet that as those threats change, the insurer's readiness test will change right along with them. What that means is security can't be a project. It has to be a continuous commitment. It has to be baked into the DNA of your company. So, if there's one single thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Cyber insurance has fundamentally transformed. It is not a financial product you just buy off the shelf anymore. It is now a benchmark, a measuring stick for how ready and resilient your business truly is. And that leaves us with one last question for you. The tough questions are already being asked by your insurer, by regulators, by your own customers. The only thing that matters now is, are you ready with the answers?